Doctor, doctor, how's my recap?
I'm sorry to tell you, sir, but your recap, it's terminal. What? Did you say anything? I didn't hear you say no. You like cut out. All you did was a guitar riff with your mouth.
I did. That was the guitar riff to transition into the replay.
But I didn't hear you say anything before that.
Oh, I definitely. Well, what am I supposed to say after it's terminal?
No. I thought you said you were gonna over. Okay, whatever. We're good. We're good. We'll roll.
I did. I oversold the doctor.
Okay. That's fine. We got it. We got it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Double Dip Draft Season 6. This is Week 3 of the Diamond Division Recap. I am your host, Spood, coach of the Southtown Sandslashers. Joining me, as always,
Emmett, the coach of the Ne'er-Do-Well Nido King.
And we are going to be breaking down for you the 4 matches of Week 3 in the Diamond Division. Pretty interesting week. I think a lot of these matches were a tad lopsided, but 1 or 2 of them, man, were kind of interesting. We're starting to see, I think, a pattern emerging in Diamond, more so than in, I think, Platinum and Pearl, where Diamond is starting to get really top-heavy. So, like, the top handful of players have, like, a really inflated win-loss differential. The bottom portion of players have a very lopsided win-loss differential, but in the opposite direction. There's very few people hanging in the middle in contention now.
Yeah, and part of the reason is that a lot of these replays, you can see they have solid game plans going into them, and that's sort of what makes a week interesting. But I feel like the first match, Scoots versus Aelin, is very indicative of the level of quality you're going to see from this division going forward. Mm-hmm. And I think now is as good a time as ever to just go ahead and get started.
Yeah, well, before we jump into it, firstly, you got to tell me what teams they coach.
Oh, yes. All right, so Scoots, coach of the Dumblespoods army. Currently, the person sitting pretty, and I believe second in their division, correct? Because no, first in division.
No. As of week 2, I think they were third.
Really? Oh yeah, because Dedennes is in this division. Yeah. Okay. And then we have Lady Aelin, coach of the Primarina-H. I'm still not entirely sure what the H stands for, but maybe we'll never know.
Yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there Sunday. Yeah, so far, Aelin not yet copping a dub, and Scoots has yet to cop an L. Scoots, of course, the top seed of the division, expected to go, in theory, 7-0, as tournaments are wont to go. Aelin, still kind of a wild card, has shown some real promise in her earlier matches, but this one, I think, is easily her hardest yet. She did have to already fight Claire, which put her on kind of a rough start already, and then I think her in-between was Cabral? It's hard for me to remember exactly who she fought week 2, but she's had kind of a gauntlet off-rip, but Scoots has also fought Claire, and managed to get that dub, just barely clinched it, so interested in seeing how this pans out, but to be honest, just based on Scoots' insane pedigree, it's pretty likely that we see some stuff from Scoots. So we'll go ahead and jump on into the replay now. Yeah. We got Electros lead versus Togekiss. Psych, buddy! That is not a Togekiss at all! It's a Zoroark!
That's a Zoroark!
Bro.
Surprise!
If she had predicted the Garchomp lead, then kind of, well, not like the Garchomp lead, but I mean, if she had predicted that he would bring out Electros and she had bluffed Garchomp lead, could have been kind of sick.
Right, and so it's weird. You effectively you trick specs to specs, and I think you trick lefties to lefties. Like trick effectively does nothing here, and this is enormous. I love this.
Yeah, raw sleep talk.
I mean, Scoots knew that Breloom was going to come because of how well it lines up versus Zangoose and Metang. And it was like, yeah, I'm going to have an answer for Spore. And I think this is actually Beck's Sleep Talk, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because I don't see any move except Sleep Talk being hit here. No, Specs would have probably done more.
No, it's Calm Mind.
But still, that's just
well, no,
raw
I
as
mean,
hell.
it does show Calm Mind, but it obviously rolls it with. I wonder if it is Specs. That's something we probably should have calculated, but whatever. Raw Calm Mind. Oh no, okay, it's not.
Oh,
Specs.
Calm Mind. Okay,
yeah, that's what I
it's not choice.
Yeah, it's we have seen this kind of thing if you're like really old school, or actually I don't know if this tech was really that old school. I think it was more recent, but in an old school meta. A lot of people did raw sleep talk in like Gen 5.
Yeah, Gen 4 and Gen 5 banded sleep talk to answer like Venusaur and Breloom early on. It was huge.
Yeah. Aelin gets in with the Rock Slide. No flinchies, no kills. Aelin decides actually to sack Breloom here. I think she was maybe trying to double into something else to force a Spore because she expected he'd want to keep this thing alive. But Scoots was down to sack it. As soon as Breloom was, brought down to Sash, he kind of was just down.
Right, and at this point, all that Scoots really needs is a little bit of damage on Toxicroak, and then Weavile can clean that up from there.
I mean, Aelin shows good awareness too, because it's pretty clear that like Garchomp is probably scarfed at this point, and she does not just sack it into Weavile Ice Shard.
Mm-hmm. I think paradoxically, Scoots was playing this a lot less complicated than a player of his caliber normally would, and I think Aelin was sort of riding on that fact, and as a result ended up doing like the double trick, like not sacking or not just killing the Articuno when she had the chance. It's just one of those like make it like keep it simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I appreciate that Aelin was going for hard reads and stuff. Like against Scoots, you really do need to find some of that, aggressive play. You want to hold on to momentum as long as possible. You want to force him to lose stuff. And actually kind of an interesting dynamic there at the end with the Weavile hard switching in on the Rock Slide that he knew she was choice locked into. That was a means of saving differential, but also if he'd gotten crit by the Rock Slide, he would have lost more differential. So it was still ultimately a gamble in his favor, and it did work out. But kind of interesting to see like that differential mentality, because I think he sees Bananas in the division with such a crazy, differential, and he kind of wants to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense to me. Again, like that's the thing too. He could gamble it, but from this position, he's still in good shape to just to win the game. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, you win either way. Just pad the numbers if given the shot. So.
Yeah, and that's smart. That's a good idea. So that is Scoots versus Aelin. Scoots takes 5-0, but I think pretty respectable. Again, showing from Aelin. It sucks to just take like a bunch of L's in a row. We've all been there, but also, you got to keep in perspective, like, Aelin has had only her hardest matches, like, front-loaded, so she hasn't gotten a chance to fight other people that might be a little closer to her skill level yet.
Exactly. I would hope that Aelin doesn't get discouraged by the fact that she's sort of running the gamut.
Yeah, because the thing is, she's through it now. She's through it now. I think, I don't know if she's fought Bananas yet, but, now that she's through Scoots and Claire, like, that's most of the people that feel kind of untouchable.
You're right. Bananas is also in his inaugural season, and has proven to be quite a competitor. But as far as like the predetermined seeds, it's over and done with.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's in theory 1 and 2 seed done. Take your lumps and hopefully start making some progress with the lower tier players maybe. Let's actually jump into, though, segueing into our next match. Kind of the man of the Diamond Division right now. We've got Bananas of the... Don't drop that, Dedennes. Okay, got it. Versus Cabral.
I guess I had to figure that out, yeah.
Hash Slinging Aegislashers. They're both a couple of goofballs, these team names. Dumblespoods Army, Don't Drop That, Dedennes, fucking Hash Slinging Aegislashers. We love jokes in this division, don't we?
We do. We love yokes. That's actually it's on our sign-up sheet, is to tell you a joke.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true, actually. That's literally true.
A little bit of double dip mythos for you.
we got an interesting one here. Going into this match, Bananas and Cabral both 2-0. So one of them is going to take their first loss right now. Bananas came out absolutely swinging. Cabral also has done well. Neither of them have really been tested against, like, again, a super high-tier opponent quite yet. But this is kind of their introduction to, like, okay, Bananas is on a roll, but Cabral, he's also got kind of a resume now. He was a playoffs contender last time, or not even contender, he qualified for playoffs last time. And then the season before that, it was relatively close. And so far, being that they're both undefeated as of week 3, you're just it's interesting to see like what comes of this. I think this is really Bananas' chance to like rise up and be like, okay, I'm not just kind of farming like new players, I can actually like compete. Versus like Cabral, who I think has a lot to lose here, who he's like, okay, this is my chance to assert my dominance. I'm double dip pilled and I can win this game and not really secure a playoff spot necessarily, but feel more secure in my playoff spot, knowing that you can also hack it versus someone who's had a really fire season so far.
Exactly. So like just based on numbers, this matchup is theoretically dead even. And coming out of this match would be incredible for both of these players, because by now this would be Bananas' 3rd win, which means he would only really have to upset Scoots or Claire to be basically be a lock for playoffs.
Yeah.
Versus Cabral, who I do think took an early loss to Scoots, I believe.
No, he's undefeated right now.
Oh, no, we just talked about that.
We talked about that, yeah. No, he hasn't played Scoots either. I don't believe either of them have fought Scoots or Claire yet. So they're kind of like, this is their first shot at someone who, it does feel like a relatively even matchup in theory. So, also interesting. So Cabral has a dual weather team, but he has not really favored rain too much so far. He's been more into sun, and you see, no difference here. Kind of a weird Kabutops oddball hanging out in the middle, which is funny on sun, not on rain. But we'll see how it ends up panning out.
Yeah, of the rain abusers, I feel like Kabutops is one of the more versatile ones. Obviously, Urshifu would have probably been a little better, throw a scarf on that thing and maybe have an answer for Lopunny. But that's all 2020 hindsight. So.
Yeah. So you start to see what this Kabutops is for now. Procs weak armor, and suddenly it's faster than and can threaten, Lopunny with superpower. Of course, problem being that, he has Aegislash in the back, and Cabral's just a little too scared to like go for that raw liquidation, which I don't think necessarily kills Lopunny outright from full.
No, but it definitely would have probably done maybe 70%, assuming he was attack invested, which he should be. Weak armor gives you the +2 attack,
so something like that,
or gives you the +2 speed, so you really don't have to run that much to be compensated for it.
Also, really brave. Yeah, really brave for Cabral. That really just essentially hard confirms that that's a Scarf Rotom.
And then he re-released C2, so it's very even right now. Like even 10 turns in, I feel like no one is really in an advantageous situation, except now Cabral is into growth, which should in theory give him a lot of mileage.
But he only has one Sun turn though, is the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. But he's still faster than the Appleton here.
Oh yeah,
so
he takes the Appleton, but
then it off the map.
Yeah. It's tough because you don't have. I mean, it can get Earth Power, I believe, but he's not running it clearly, and he just was not keen on getting Air Slashed. This Liepard hasn't really got a ton of mileage, but it actually does just go for the hard sunny day. Excuse me.
That's the sort of the role that Liepard fills as like the Cabral's like premier prankster Pokemon.
Yeah. Also, Cabral makes a bit of a flub here and goes hard into Kabutops instead of like trying to force a fake out. He just gets outsped and killed by close combat.
Yeah, but if he had Earth Power here, like Sludge Bomb, Earth Power, Giga Drain, that would be a Solar Beam instead of the Giga Drain. But I mean. Oh, and there's Weather Ball. So yeah, he was ready. Like he had answers for a lot of this stuff. I think he just played the Kabutops a little too unsafely. And now Aegislash is at +2.
Yeah, Shadow Sneak is going to be really scary.
Everything is weakened. Shadow Sneak priority. Yeah. There's just no great answers left. Yeah.
And then, so greedy. He already revealed Shadow Sneak. He goes for the growth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which, I mean, I don't think he would have lived in Iron Head anyway. So... The growth in any capacity was just really, really bold. I think overly so.
Yeah, very much so. Especially because he'd already shown, he'd already shown the Shadow Sneak, so you knew it was coming. So it's like you died to 2 Shadow Sneaks, you died on Iron Head. He's already burned his Aka berries, so you know that he doesn't have any more other kind of pinch berries hanging in the back. So in theory, Cabral in Sun should have been able to kill that Aegislash and force some more progression in the game. But Cabral just, basically two big blunders, sacks his Kabutops, sacks his Venusaur, and then he loses his answers to Lopunny fake out mind games, and really just the rest of the team. Because it's not like, Whimsicott can't really deal with Venusaur when it's in Chlorophyll. Cobalion can't really deal because I believe it's Scarf. I think it's revealed Scarf in a sense earlier. It felt it was Specs, actually, excuse me. It was Specs. He's knocked off Specs. I don't know. He, I think, could have dealt with the rest of his team with Venusaur in theory if he played the mind game with Lopunny Fake Out correctly. But to do that, he'd have to have kept his Kabutops alive and made good predictions, and he just let it die too early, and he just wasn't, it just didn't really pan out.
Yeah. As a whole, the Bananas just kept it tighter.
Yeah, no, Bananas had the game plan he executed for sure. I mean, he just looked really clean.
Yeah, forced Cabral to overpredict and secured it 4-0. So Cabral takes his first L of his division, ideally not his last. Or ideally not his only. I'm on Cabral's side here.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
Putting it into words, yeah.
Hopefully, right, Cabral does not make a habit of taking L's, but Bananas is happy to take that dub. He's looking really good. I think, I would say it's very unlikely at this point, if not, well, it's definitely not mathematically impossible, because at 3 wins, you can still end up with 4 losses, and he could just get 6-0'd by everyone else, and, if you want to talk about, like, extreme edge case scenarios, like, Bananas maybe doesn't go to playoffs if, like, the stars align and Jesus Christ himself ordains that it just will not happen. But I think it's a pretty safe bet that Bananas makes it to playoffs from here.
Yeah, I'd say so. Even if he's based on how he's performed versus Cabral and his former 2 matches, even if he were to lose to Scoots, I feel like it would be a safe bet, or to Claire and Scoots. I feel like it's a safe bet that he'll take the remaining. I believe it's just the 1 match, right? Because it's 7 people per division, or it's 8 people per division.
It's 8 people, yeah, so you fight 7 people. He has 7 matches, so, he's got 2 people and then Scoots and Claire.
Okay, so yeah, even if he loses to Scoots and Claire, based off his performance, he'll probably secure the other 2 wins. If I was to just hazard a guess.
I mean, right now, he's popping off so hard, I could even see him beating Claire and Scoots, genuinely, if he keeps up the momentum. It would be hard, but, they're not impossible to beat. And if Scoots versus Claire itself was any indication, they're both more than capable of flubbing out some high-stress games. So, exactly. Bananas, I think, has become the guy to watch from Diamond Division.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, so this is a delightful match. I always love introducing Claire, coach of the Maryland Manectrics, a good pal of mine, and Skittles, the most cultured man in Double Dip Draft, without a doubt.
Very true.
Coach of the Crystal Cresselias this season, as opposed to the Ninetales that he was, the Nevada Ninetales. The artist formerly known as, I suppose.
Right, the artist formerly known as the Nevada Ninetales.
So, obviously, Skittles is our mono water hype man. Truthfully, for the makeup of Skittles' draft, I was talking to you about this just a little while ago. Actually, no, that I feel like that thought's best saved for after the match. But Quillfish, like just off rip, the biggest answer that Skittles needs to worry about is Thundurus. Grass Knot and Thunder is enough to clean 10-0 his draft.
Yeah.
12-0, 20-0. So,
I mean, he has to be worried about
Skittles.
There's like speed control issues that Skittles needs to be able to take advantage of, right? Like Skittles can still Swift Swim and like threaten with, I don't know, like if he gets it in, gets like a raw speed boost on a switch and then protects, he's suddenly a +2 with his like unevolved Mega Sharpedo. And then that can also be threatening. So there's options, but genuinely, yeah, Claire's Thundurus is really threatening.
But I think the rest of the match sort of plays out in a very interesting way. So I think we can go ahead and get started.
So Cabral, I remember, helped Skittles prep this week, and you'll see his influence shine through relatively soon.
Really gutsy turn 1 Toxic to predict. I mean, he's not even packing Rindoberry that we see later. So that was just like the rawest, like, Thundurus is a problem. I need it removed. I'm gonna put it on a timer, even if it costs me my Pokemon. And it paid off for him.
That's
Player went directly into Tangela, waiting for the ice, waiting for like an Ice Beam or something. So, Screen's Feeny, very cultured. I like it.
Very interesting.
Defogs away the Psychic Terrain to prevent, so that I mean, I guess there's not really that much priority on the team, but
Well, it's more so to gimp the expanding force, I assume.
No, that's true. I hadn't considered that. And here, this would have been the turning point because here's the belly drum, here's the Salic Berry, and Buzzwole breaks us up. But what does Claire have an answer for this?
It's Buzzwole.
Lives a liquidation because the rain is not up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Skittles would have just clean 6'd Claire then and there.
Yeah, what's really sick about that is the Wall Rain was Cabral's idea. It's echoes of his Magmortar that got him into playoffs last season versus Mass, which was the same thing. It was sub-Salic Berry Belly Drum. But here, unfortunately, Skittles flubs it, doesn't make the calc appropriately, and sacks it to Buzzwole, and that was really his sort of swan song. Like, I'm going to just go for this, and then we'll see what happens. And I mean, it did gimp Buzzwole a lot, but I think in general, Buzzwole wasn't like as scary because you have things like Tapu Fini that can kind of deal with it. You know, he has no shortage of like special attack that's not resisted.
Right. With the support Fini, if that's even AV Buzzwole draining, you're looking at Draining Kiss doing probably maybe like 20 something max.
Yeah.
To AV Buzzwole. Like, it's a good answer, don't get me wrong, but if it's like fully invested Fini and this is bulky Buzzwole, I mean, it's just. It's like not in the cards.
Yeah.
And Claire again playing the Thunderous, I think personally a little too carefully, because he could have very easily just clicked the grass there, or she could have just clicked grass not burned the potential Rindo Berry on the switch in. But
yeah,
now we see that it's leftovers. So at this point,
right.
Once Politoed is removed, Thunderous can just sort of clean house. But
again, you can see Cabral's influence on this Aqua Ring Gastrodon, or not Gastrodon, excuse me, Seismitoad.
The not Gastrodon.
The not Gastrodon. I would like to remind the viewers at home that Aqua Ring is not a good move. Do not let Cabral fool you. It worked versus like 2 people last season, and then everybody was like, "Oh, I can run bulky water with Aqua Ring."
Yeah, Aqua Ring didn't or it worked because it was Vaporeon, not because it was Seismitoad.
Yeah.
But the rest of this game does play out kind of textbook.
Yeah.
Player gets up the Indeedee Psychic Terrain and just gets to click the Scarf Energy Ball. I believe it's Scarf anyway.
It's leftovers. It's literally shown leftovers, buddy.
Oh, excuse me. I'm watching this on like a 4-inch screen in Discord, so
I respect that. Yeah, Claire smartly, just sacks that there. Doesn't let anything else like take a potential nasty like crunch into flip turn or whatever. Tangela not at full after Regenerator. Skittles again, just Hail Mary, like, hey, I'm gonna Shell Smash, maybe you'll double or something. And then,
I mean, that's what you gotta do, right?
Yeah.
You just gotta hope, you just gotta pray for a choke when you're down like that.
It's all about just, playing for the win con.
Yeah. And it's not even that absurd, a sort of, like, Claire had a proclivity to double out of her Thunderous, which is actually, I do think it's a testament to... Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. What I wanted to say before the match started is I feel like Skittles a lot is like in the same boat as Black Captain, where it feels like Skittles is on the glow up.
Mm-hmm.
And is only really... And I understand how it pains me to say this. I do think that Skittles is held back by his draft. I love his draft. I think Mono Water is hype as fuck. But Skittles has, Skittles has a knowledge almost 6-0'd Claire, the second seed in the division, with Mono Water. If Rain had been up, that would have been it.
Yeah.
And I think Skittles has just finally come to a time where game sense is there. It's just a matter of matchup.
Yeah, I think
I think people are not giving Skittles enough credit for how much growing they've done as a competitor over these past couple of seasons.
He's having a rough one, and he's had a couple of rough ones before, but he's capable of getting wins. He's capable of drafting well. Skittles, he's kind of like the hero, right? The hometown hero of Double Dip Draft. I love Skittles for sure, and it shows good initiative here that he's willing to like sit down and actually like run scrims with Cabral, which I don't think is something he does that often. He brought some interesting strats. He was able to actually execute them to some success. Again, like Buzzwole needed to have Chip or be in Rain, but he still got off the sub Salic Berry, right? He didn't just get completely owned on Wall Rain off rip. So
exactly. And two skills as credit. Maybe this is just a cautious Claire, but Thunderous, easily, just on paper, the biggest possible threat to a Mono Water draft, did not come out. It didn't click any attacking moves this time around.
Right.
So. And I think that sort of proves the statement. Like, the game sense is there. He's just held back by his draft, I think, at this point.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I still do genuinely believe that this draft is capable of getting a win. But again, Skittles has been playing a lot of lopsided matches versus pretty strong players so far. So I feel like he hasn't really gotten a chance to really show his stuff yet this season. So I guess we'll have to keep an eye out. The final match is also really interesting to me. Besides Bananas versus Cabral, I think this one was the one that I was most excited to see. This is Black Captain, coach of the Martian Mantines, versus Milo of the Canadian Cottonees.
There you go.
Milo and Black Captain both going into this one at 0-2. Or no, actually, Black Captain got a win last week. So Black Captain actually came in at 1-1, and Milo was at 0-2. Milo really new to this stuff. Black Captain still relatively new to this stuff, but does have a season of double dip under his belt already.
And we were discussing this a little while. We discussed this for the last week recap, where Black Captain, very similar to Skittles, like is now at a point where his game sense can take him against the higher echelon of players. Even though he did end up losing to Scoots, that was a much closer game than I think. Like, that's a much closer game than anyone would have probably assumed going into it. And his glow up is probably what makes him so interesting to watch in his divisions, because I think he's the only one going into week 3 that was 1-1. I think everything else was a lot more lopsided. But
Claire was also 1-1.
Clearly, that's true.
Because she lost to Scoots.
I think if we were to have a sort of most improved player Dippy, I do think Black Captain would be in the running for that.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Black Captain fan. I'm also a Milo fan. You know, they have been putting their best foot forward. I know that they also took some time this week to, scrim with Cabral and practice and sort of dip their toes into really intense scrimming and team building and stuff. And you actually see, some less memey stuff out of Milo this time. We haven't watched it yet, we'll get to it in just a second, but for example, the Doug trio. At Team Preview, you might think, okay, well, this is just the entrainment thing again. But it actually isn't that. This is a lead Doug trio with, Rocks and Memento. And I really think that Milo, had a game plan going into this that Black Captain had to immediately recognize and respect and play around. So suddenly this became very interesting. Milo is another player I think I want to keep my eye on. All right, I think that's enough. Enough chatter. Let's start to battle. Pitter patter. Let's get at her. Pitter patter. Let's get at her. As mentioned in the analysis, or rather the intro to the analysis, Stealth Rock Protect. Protect's kind of funny there because it just allows the sticky web to be placed, but it actually doesn't end up mattering because Memento into this thing quiver dancing is really scary for Black Captain. Immediately he has to U-turn out. Milo sees that this thing takes rocks damage and is like, okay, well maybe it's Assault Vest or something. I need to get the fuck out of here because I don't think I can kill it. Yeah, that the neutral psychic was not going to be enough to take out Black Mortar. Yeah. And also good awareness from Black Captain. Doug Trio is dead, so he doesn't have to worry about rocks. But Masquerade is still in the back and can very easily set webs back up. Yeah, true. Probably in front of Yuxi, or mostly just in front of Yuxi. But yeah, the rest of the match plays out pretty quickly. Skarmory instantly just removes Volcarona off the map. Mystical Fire gets to come in and start neutering the 3 special attackers, I think, that are not on the field. Special Latios. I'm sorry, Scarf Latios. I don't know if it's revealed at the moment, but it definitely is Scarf. He's run it that way twice. I don't know. There's just I feel like there's a lot going on at one time. Yeah. There's a lot of pivoting, a lot of momentum. Black Captain has this really weirdly aggro Skarmory set that's actually been doing quite well the last couple of weeks. But Milo also, again, just very thoughtfully, gets off the Hone Claws. Unfortunately, literally 1 point of speed slower, I believe, than Latios at max. Or 2, actually, so it's 1, I think, base point slower. But, Latios ends up coming in, Flamethrower kills it. Latios comes in again. This is where it reveals Scarf. It's faster than Inteleon. Locked into Thunderbolt. Little Baby Man dies on rocks, unfortunately. again, some higher concept play, like managing your sacks and making effective use of the calc and understanding, like, okay, maybe you can, like, scout for the Thunderbolt or something. Like, there were options for Milo to sort of shore up their differential after the game was lost, and there were obviously, ways to get around what Black Captain brought. But Black Captain, I didn't see any huge holes in his play. He brought in the counter to Volcarona when he needed to do it. He was pivoting well. He was, managing his hazards well. Milo also, I think, did most of that stuff really well. Had an obvious game plan. Ran a strong lead Doug trio into, like, Memento into Quiver Dance Volcarona. And then also recognized that it would lose to Mag Mortar.
Yes, and as far as I'm aware, U-turn is a pretty unique option on Masquerain. I can see someone being sort of seduced by the Hydro Pump, even if it was at -2 against the Volcarona, and I think Milo may have been banking on that, and that's when he quit. And that's, part of that is probably why he Quiver Danced, but the wherewithal to not just get greedy and just try to attack and instantly lose Volcarona, I think it shows really good awareness.
And then on the flip side, I don't blame Milo for not being scared of Skarmory, like not expecting a random Brave Bird, but Black Captain is just built different. He loved that Brave Bird on Skarmory, and he will run it. And it ultimately did pan out, because I think that Black Captain, if he didn't manage to dispatch that Volcarona when he did, it could have been a huge problem for the rest of his team.
Agreed.
So that all having been said, let's go ahead and jump into the Diamond Division rankings breakdown for Week 3. I'll go ahead and cover the top 4 if you want to take the bottom 4. And bringing up first place in the Diamond Division, inaugural season, Bananas at a staggering 3-0 and plus 14 differential. Bringing up second place, we've got Scoots of the Dumblespoods Army at 3-0 and plus 11. In third, Claire of the Maryland Manectrics at 2-1 and plus 5. And in fourth, the Slinging Aegislashers, coached by Cabral, also at 2-1 and plus 5.
Starting our red rankings here, Black Captain, Martian Mantines, also at 2-1 plus 5. So really, it's first place, second place, and then a currently 3-way tie for third place.
That's absolutely correct.
We have Primarina-H, 0 and 3 minus 12. Milo Mega right underneath, 0 and 3 minus 13. And then Skittles at 0, 3 minus 15.
Yeah, as we previously said, this division is way more lopsided than both Platinum and Pearl, where there is more contention for the top, like the playoff spots are kind of harder to place. I think here, there's only really 5 players in contention at this point, Bottom 3 players are all 0 and 3, Genuinely, only one person can have, possibly an 0 and 7 record in a given division, because, eventually, if you've got 2 0 and 6 players, they will have to fight each other. So, at the end of the season, you can only have one person remaining at the bottom, in theory. But, to have 3 different players at 0 and 3, they obviously all haven't fought each other, so there is potential for some movement upward. If Black Captain or Cabral or Claire struggle to keep their footing, they could still fall out, but it's more likely at this point that the top 4 spots are being fought for by 5 people, and not 7 or 8.
Right. I don't really, I can't say that I have anything too much more intelligent to add. I mean, you said it all. The 3-way tie means that contention for the playoff spot is sort of very hotly contested, while the bottoms are just sort of in the race to secure a win. Mm-hmm. But between the 3 of them, I mean, all of them have the potential to take some matches, because part of the makeup of the division is a lot of people had to play their toughest possible matches right off rip.
Yeah.
So,
and again, Bananas himself came out swinging. He did not make it easy for people as one of the new players.
Absolutely, and I feel like more than the other 2 divisions, the makeup of this division probably won't be changing all that much, except between the 3-way tie for third place going into week 4.
Yeah, I think the 3-way tie for third, and then what it's essentially, I mean, it's not actually a 3-way tie for 6th, but it's kind of close. I mean, they're all within 3 differential points of each other, and they all have the same win-loss. So I think next week you could see the sort of interplay in those little clusters changing a lot, but I don't think you'll actually see people seismically moving up or down. Probably not for the rest of the season.
Right.
But that's really all we've got for the Diamond Division. I mean, really interesting matches this week. Really excited for next week. As always, I'd highly recommend that you check out the companion videos to this one. You can catch myself and Cabral breaking down the Pearl Division, and you can catch Cabral and Aurora talking about Platinum for Week 3. Those videos will be going up at the same time as this video. And we'll be back next week for some hot and spicy double dip action. If you got anything you'd like to say to the people, Cam?
I really don't like Celestial. I think he's annoying as fuck.
Yeah, fuck Celestial.
Like, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, what's some parting wisdom I'd want to impart to our double dip folks? And Flying Steel is annoying as hell.